Hello, I'm joined today by Kieran Slinger from Propalt. Kieran, how are you doing?
I'm very well, David. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm very well. We were just chatting off camera about how busy a start we've got off to in January. And there are sort of new challenges ahead for different agents. One is always going to be, where's the next instruction coming from? And if you were to ask me that question a few years ago, I would say, I haven't got a crystal ball. I can't tell you where the next instructions are coming from. But now I know a man who can. So over to Kieran. Tell us just a little bit about Propalt before we get going, because we're going to see it working. But just tell us a little bit about the concept and how it all came about.
So we are 3 years old now. So my background is property portals. So I worked for, in no particular order, Find a Property, Prime Location, Digital Property Group, and then finished at Zoopla. Started Propalt about 3 years ago, and the fundamental of the business was really to get everything into one place. What we realized quite early on was there's a lot of separate data floating around everywhere, and it takes an inordinate amount of time to go into the background and find everything you need. So we decided to build a platform where you could drop into any area, any place, any house, any block of flats, and bring as many data sets as we can into one view to make it easy for investors, estate agents, landlords, and any really property professionals who want to know more about their area.
Kieran gave me a bit of a whiz around the platform in December when we last spoke, and I went away saying, just give me a phone and access to this software, and I'll rustle up instructions. And literally it was very inspiring because I could see myself using it. Do you mind giving us a bit of a tour around it and showing us how it works?
Sure. Let me just share a screen and then I will give you a tour. The main screen you get is a map of the UK. This is the nav bar at the top, and there's a few things you can do with the nav bar. So I'm going to go to Bradford because it's where I live. And I've got audiences. If I had any audiences with Bradford in the title, it would give me that there. Any address in Bradford you can go to, so you can just put in a postcode, go straight to the road, but I'm going to go to Bradford itself. You'll notice a little section down here called landlords, and I'll show you more about that in a minute. But the main ideas, and I'll whiz through these two ideas. The first is this mapping screen, and the mapping screen allows you really control over your area. The feedback we got from really the marketplace and agents that we spoke to while we're developing this is that a lot of the work that's done around the front room and presenting sort of a view to a vendor is quite samey. So it's, you know, a bunch of reports saying a property's worth X. What we're trying to do is to give a real oversight into an area. So I don't know this area very well, but I'll zoom in here. So each of the blue dots is a house.
Wow.
And then you can layer on a bunch of things. So I'll rattle through these because it's quite a lot, but here's the listings data. So this is everything for sale in green, everything rented in orange. Oh, there's not much rented there. Everything sold will come up in red. Not a great deal of red one there. All withdrawn. So they came to market at some point and then withdrawn. You can investigate those further, and then everything that's let. So what I instantly know about this marketplace, that looking at it, is there is a shortage of properties to rent in this marketplace. There's literally one there. What I can do is then drive across that who owns what. So these are privately owned titles, so they're privately owned by individuals. These are landlord-owned titles. So, for example, if I drop into this one, you can see, it's a care home, bad example, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
That one is a freehold title owned by a company, and you can kind of go in and investigate the titles from there. I'll show you that in a bit. And then you can have a look at housing association and also local authorities. What you can then do is put on top of that any HMOs in the area. So if there was houses of multiple occupation, there's one there you can see. You'll be able to see. So that's a bunch of flats being built into one title. And the idea is really to put across an area kind of anything that's happening there. So imagine doing this live in a front room with someone and going, okay, well, look, you want to get X amount for your house. Let's lay across everything that's been sold, for example, or let's have a look how many rentals there are live in this area. You can then,
it's quite visually compelling, isn't it? When you see all the sort of different dots on the map, it really sort of focuses you, doesn't it?
It brings it to life for both you and the vendor. So yeah, and the other thing is that we can lay across as well the planning permission. So these are all planning cases, and you can see kind of what's in planning at the moment. So this house has planning, and you can go in and investigate. So that's a proposed single level extension, and that will take you to the actual planning survey itself, and you can have a look and see what's happening on that one.
That's really impressive.
Good, isn't it?
Well.
The idea is that anyone who wants to, we talked before about the marketplace and kind of what's coming up in this market. And the reason we've done this and the reason we've done it this way is that the premise is that a lot of agents will spend quite a lot of money trying to attract someone who moves house once. So if the cost of acquisition, I don't know, might be £100, say, for an agent. If it's £100 and they may generate, I don't know, £1,200 worth of revenue. What we're trying to do is to give a view of the marketplace of who's likely to move. So going back to that HMO stuff and the planning permission, but also who's likely to move multiple times. So there's a bunch of people within our system who, so for example, landlords, they might buy and sell and rent multiple properties a year. Our thoughts is, instead of spending £100 on someone who like moves house once every 12 years, you can instead spend a little bit more investing in someone who might buy and sell 20 houses in your area in the next year.
And that sort of ability to define who landlords are. I mean, on the way into this, I think when you were typing in Bradford, it brought up a bunch of landlord names, I think, down at the bottom.
Yep.
As well, company names.
Let me show you. I'll show you a bit more about that. So this is so this is the mapping screen. You can go anywhere in the UK and have a look at any neighbourhood and turn it on, turn it off. Audiences is slightly different. So this is where you come to view big blocks of data and do market research. So I'll use the same example, and I'll go to where I live. So this is BD18. So I can either leave it on nationally and have a look at everything in the UK, or I can narrow it down to one postcode if I want. So I'm going to add that postcode. I'm looking at BD18. So the audiences I can get, if you're interested in stuff that's selling, I can have a look at everything that's for sale by probate, investment properties, which is things that are in need of modernization, in need of updating, and stuff that's like cash only. HMOs is a list of all houses of multiple occupation in the UK. Every auction listing, inefficient homes, which is DEFG, which obviously come with the legislation coming in 2025. We estimate that they will come to market more often for landlords. And then a list of everything for sale in the region, everything reduced, sold, withdrawn, sell, fallen through. That's nothing new for estate agents, right? We also have a list of lettings. So we've got all of the lettings for the entire of the region. So say, for example, I wanted to go and have a look at everything that's let in BD18. I'll just turn that toggle on and it'll give me a count of all the lettings properties that we know about. You can see at the top of the page, there's a bunch of options as well. So I can have a look at the rental price, the beds, the EPCs, etc. The interesting bit is coming into the data view. And then if I do landlord owned, it'll give me a list of everything that's been rented, who rents it, when it's been rented, and who the landlord is.
And that was the data that blew my mind when I first saw it, because hitherto it's been difficult to get hold of landlord data. It's notoriously unreliable. Yours goes to the trouble of sort of working out when the home was last rented, If, and with a high degree of accuracy as well.
Well, to give you some stats, and this is so if I was an estate agent or a letting agent within this region, I'm just going to have a look at. So I'm going to pick this one because it's got 13 properties. It's the highest number on the page. So Hartley Property Trust own this property, and it's rented through Lindley and Simpson, who are a local agent. It's a 2-bedroom house. What I can do is, if I want to chase down what's going to happen with this property, I can go and have a look at Hartley Properties themselves. So we have just over 250,000 landlords in this system that you can have a look at their entire property stock, where it is, and I'll run you through quite quickly. So they've got 13 properties. There's a portfolio valuation. You can see what they own, how many beds, where it is. You can put it down on the map. So they own a bit in Gloucester, and they own a bit in Leeds, in effect. The property itself is based in BD8. So again, as another opportunity, if I'm an estate agent in Gloucester, this would show up in my patch because they've got some houses in Gloucester, but they're based in BD8, so they're more likely to use an agent. Let's see if they're using an agent. So they've got one rented property through Lindley and Simpson. And what that tells me is that there's another 12 properties that they're not living in, that they're not using estate agents to rent at the moment. So that becomes an opportunity for us. We also give you the people in charge of the company. So here's everyone involved in it, what they do, their registered address. So there's people here from Preston, Bradford, and then you've got persons of significant control. So this gives you the trading company. It may give you either a trading company or the actual director themselves that own the shares. Okay. Then you've got the financials for the company that gives you the portfolio size, how much they earn and how much we think the houses are worth. And then if you want some mortgage opportunities, here's who they're borrowing money off, how many they owe, whether it's satisfied or not, etc., etc. And that's across all of the different portfolios.
That is superb, because it really sort of does give you that ability to target. Well, you could target certain, if you were going after housing associations for whatever reason, or you were going after a certain landlord. This is superb, isn't it?
Well, we do have housing associations in here as well, so you can go and see the housing associations, and they trade houses as well, right? So I think that we're not really overly fussed about what happens. We're just what we're trying to do is to give you a more accurate view of your data. So some of the other systems that that look at, say, and I'll just show you something very, very quickly. So if I went to for sale in this region, so I'm going to have a look at everything for sale, and some of the other systems that allow you to send letters to doors, in effect. So there's 223,000. Let's narrow it down to, I'm going to take a radius, and I'm going to give, like, that's my approximate branch coverage. You can draw it freehand if you want. You can select postcode by postcode. I'm just going to take that bunch. And these are homes for sale, right? So if I'm going to, with some of the other providers, then send 7,562 letters. So when I have a look at this and I put down the ownership and I just do landlords, let's see how many landlords are selling houses in that area. So this is a way of getting involved with the actual landlord themselves and creating that, that need to be able to sell. If they sell one, the chances are they're going to sell one or two or three.
Yeah.
So I can now drop in and have a look. There's Bellway Homes there. There's H&A Banks and Company. They've got 792 properties. In terms of the research piece, we want to see what they're doing in the full portfolio, rather than just the one that's for sale that you might get a letter through. This recent event, they've sold 16. They've rented 23. They're using a bunch of different agents. So, you know, I want to, if I was working this right now, I would be writing to probably Andrew, or what I might do is go and search his LinkedIn and see if I can find him on LinkedIn. There you go. You can do that for any of the companies or any of the people within the companies, and see if I can get in touch with him. Rather than spending £1 on someone who's selling one home, I'd rather spend £10 seeing if I can get a relationship with this guy who's the decision maker on 790 homes.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. And I think that like I said to you earlier, you know, a letting agent, if you were to give them this resource, you instantly allow them to prospect it, but intelligently. You know, you're going after a lot of prospecting these days is all geared towards the low-hanging fruit. It's
Yeah.
not necessarily where the riches are. There's a lot more sense in sort of digging away a little bit less superficially, going into detail. You're going to get the whole. I mean, just look at that. You know, a portfolio of 792 properties. There's a lot of opportunity there, isn't there?
Well, the opportunity is twofold. One, these are guys who will perform actions over and over. So there's an old well, I say an old adage, but there's quite a long served adage that a buyer is a seller is a renter, and these guys are doing it all, right? So they may be looking for investment properties to buy, they may be looking to sell the investment properties that they've developed, they may be looking to rent them. There's an opportunity for estate and letting agents on all three occasions. These are the guys who and there is a lot of local agents that will have that relationship already with this type of client. But as we saw before with the Bradford example, there's a load from Gloucester who might have 3 houses in Bradford. But you know, until you make the connection and actually investigate that, you don't know what they're doing with them.
That is that's superb. It really sort of it whets my appetite every time I see you demo that. It's absolutely superb, and it is quite different from anything else that I've seen before in the way that it presents the information, but then allows you to, you know, very easy functionality to sort of get in touch with somebody on LinkedIn or begin a campaign straight away. There's no faffing about. There's no lag, is there? It's just straight. It's served up for you.
Well, I mean, we are quite similar to some of the other platforms. So one of the ways that we allow people to contact is by letter. So we can add, if I wanted to, I could add this company to a letter campaign. I've got a bunch of letter campaigns in here. I'll just press the plus symbol, and then I can go into the background. I'll show you quickly. I could grab a campaign and just say, okay, that withdrawn campaign. So imagine having 300 landlords in there, and then you can create your own. So you can create your own documentation here, your own letter, saying, here's me, here's my offer. I see if you've got some houses within my portfolio that are due up for rent, etc. And then press the button, and off it goes.
That's really, really good. I mean, it's also easy to upload new templates in there and just run them off. Yeah. Really impressive stuff. So in terms of general availability, is there one particular sort of, I can see this being useful to a number of different people and a number of different types of agency, but do you have one particular sort of client avatar that you're going after, or is it sort of the general market?
So with the estate and letting agents, what we try to do is to think about the way that people will use this. So as an example, you might have an auctions department that might be only interested in kind of what's for auction sale, right? So you might drop in there and have a look at that. You might have a lettings department that wants to look at every landlord, or you might just want to dip in and out once every 3 or 4 weeks or months just to have a look and see kind of what's happening in the market, find a couple more landlords. We've designed it so that you use credits. So every time you do a search, the more you use it, the more credits you use. So there's no charge to sort of have a look at audiences. Once I'm into the data, if I want to go and have a look at any of these homes, and I'll quickly show you. So if I look into this, so 27 million properties have this, which is a property card.
Yeah.
And it gives you everything about the property itself. So it gives you the same view. It'll target the property. So it's that one there. It gives you local comps. It gives you what it's worth, how long it's been on the market for, who it's been up for. So this was SDL auctions. It was listed 10th and withdrawn on the 11th. and then we give you a valuation for the property, so based on the local comps, and then we give you so we used 40 40 40, so we used 40 for sale comparables, 40 let comparables, 40 sold comparables, and 42 let comparables, and you can see them all. The difference between, and I know this exists everywhere, right? There's, you know, it's no having the ability to give someone a price on their house is nothing new. We're not trying to replace estate agents. We're not trying to say we're mega accurate. You know, you should use our valuations all the time.
Yeah.
The difference we give you with other services is we show you what's in the black box. So these are the houses that we have used to make a valuation. We give you the distance from the target property, the type of house, the tenure, how many beds, how many baths, the square footage, listed date, etc. The agency selling it, and then the similarity to the target object. So we show you how similar that comp is. What's more, once it's been sold, we add in the bits. So we tell you how long it took to sell and the percentage to asking price achieved on the property, and that compares the final asking price to the price that you get through from Land Reg, in effect. And then you've got a lot of stuff on market performance, local stats, and then raw data like EPC and kind of where they are, PO boxes, etc.
So this is really useful data that you're going to be able to use in order to prospect getting into somebody's living room. But once you're in the living room and want to demonstrate your own market knowledge,
yep,
that's where it helps you hit home the win then.
Exactly that. One of the things we're working on at the side, so you'll see Valuation Builder and Report Builder, no surprises there, that's coming soon. So we have the valuation, you'll be able to replace properties live within the front room. So you'll be able to say, how similar is this to your house? So instead of just printing a report and saying, here's some stuff that looks a bit similar, you can do this live, and you can take this property and cross that one off, and they'll go, that was Dave and Marjorie's, it was nothing like mine. Oh, well, let's take Dave and Marjorie off and replace it with another one that's more similar. And that will recalculate a price live for you. Once again, we're not trying to replace any kind of the skill that the estate agency, the estate agent uses in order to value a property, but we're giving the raw data.
Okay, I mean, that it's immensely a very powerful platform and lots of data there. And you've pulled it all together in a way that is really usable. I'm just going to switch that off for a second. I've got you back there. So Kieran, in terms of, I'm very excited about this. I'm an agent and I want to hit the ground running. How quickly could I be using it?
So if you go to propalt.co.uk, there's a big blue button in the top right-hand corner that says start my free trial. Enter your email address and your name, and you can use it 30 seconds later. So you'll get an email back from us. You can sign up. We're giving a 7-day free trial to anyone who wants to investigate their area. Go have a look, see what it does, see what happens, find landlords. We're giving away a bunch of credits for 7 days. And then after that 7 days, you can decide how useful it is for you. And then we have 3 packages from there. So it starts from £99 a month. So if you're not using it very often, or you're using it a little bit, there's an option there to be able to search for any landlord in your area. Say, for example, you use 2 postcodes, for example, or all the way up to a large corporate. So there's various packages available.
That's brilliant, and it sounds really flexible. And in terms of sort of minimum term, once you have signed up for it, am I locked in for a certain amount of time? Or?
So we have a 12-month contract. So once you've completed your trial, it's 12 months at £99 is the lowest in effect.
Okay, seems really reasonable as well. And in terms of, I find this quite intuitive, but then again, I spend my days on property platforms picking apart these things. But it does genuinely, I could see that bird's eye view, and if I was an agent, dividing up my area into the number of chimney pots that I'm going after, and I really wanted to sort of narrow that down, I can see very quickly how I would do it over there. So I find it intuitive to use. But in terms of training, do you envisage that the average agent bringing this into the branch and getting his staff to use it, will they need further training? Is that something that you offer?
So they get a training session to start off with. We have there's a live book diary on site. So if you want to, if you can either send a quick email with the time, and I'll jump on a call, or me or one of the team, or B, you can have a full training session for your team, an overview. We have a bunch of videos of how-tos, how it works, and there's a live chat live on site. So at no point is anyone left to kind of just navigate their way around. What we want to do is to make sure that at point of setup there is a bit of work to create your areas and do all that. We'll do that with you to make sure that you get the most out of the 7 days.
And that's superb. Again, immensely powerful stuff there. But you don't have to take my word for it. You can go on there and try it for 7 days for free. These people are willing to be judged by their own results. So go in there, fill your boots for 7 days, and then let us know what you thought about it. We are actually really keen to hear people's feedback, but I can see why this is popular. I must tell you, not every supplier offers a free trial, and the fact that you do, to me, fills me with a bit of confidence as a potential user that I can see it in action before I commit to it. And I can see value from it. So thank you very much for your time today, Kieran.
And thank you, David. It's been a pleasure.